Today's story opens with an exquisite Greek-style tiara created by Cartier jewelers in 1909. It was ordered by Canadian businessman and aristocrat Sir Montague Allen as a gift for his beloved wife Marguerite Allen. The main decorative motif of this tiara was a Greek meander symmetrically diverging from a large old-cut diamond in the center. Along the upper and lower edges of the tiara, it is decorated with small pearls. Marguerite often went out in public wearing this tiara. The pages of Canadian Society chronicles were full of references to the Allens' presence at various events of those years and were sure to describe Marguerite's lavish jewelry. With the outbreak of the First World War, the Allen couple's eldest children, daughter Martha and son Hugh, left Canada for Great Britain. Martha became a nurse and Hugh joined the Royal Naval Air Service. In the spring-summer of 1915, Sir Montague himself intended to go to Britain. In consultation, the Allens decided that Margaret and her younger daughters Anne and Gwendolen should also go, so that the whole family would be together during the difficult years of the war. And that decision was fateful for them. On May 1, 1915, accompanied by her daughters and two maids, Marguerite Allen boarded the ship, Lusitania, going on her last voyage. On May 7th, the Lusitania was attacked by a German submarine and sank within 18 minutes. The number of lifeboats on board was sufficient to save all passengers and crew, but the sinking ship kept moving and capsized most of the boats. According to existing records, only 6 of the 48 lifeboats were successfully launched. A total of 1,198 people died that day, including both of the Allens' daughters. Despite the fact that Margaret and her daughters and maids went on deck almost immediately after the explosion, they were unable to get on the dinghy and jumped into the water directly from the deck of the ship. The children were probably dragged along by the liner and were never able to swim out, while Margaret and her two maids were picked up by a lifeboat. Leaving Canada, Lady Allen took her entire closet, 20 trunks, and jewelry, including a Cartier meander tiara, which one of her maids saved by hiding it in her outer garment. In the following years, Marguerite again made frequent appearances at social events wearing this tiara, as evidenced by archival photographs. Since Margaret outlived all of her children, the tiara passed to her cousin Elsbeth Patterson Dawes upon her death in 1957. Dawes in turn bequeathed it to her granddaughter Elsbeth born Straker, who in 2015, in the year of the centenary of the sinking of the Lusitania, sold Allen's tiara at a Sotheby's auction for $868,000. The buyer was the jewelry house Cartier, which cherishes the tiara in its collection of historical jewels. In the early 20th century, Louis Cartier, among other things, became famous for his impressive platinum tiaras. He was the first jeweler to use platinum instead of gold and silver. This material was lighter and stronger, so it allowed to encrust many more stones and create jewelry that seemed to consist of only diamonds. One of them was the exceptionally beautiful tiara of Marie Bonaparte in the form of an olive wreath, created by the jewelry house Cartier in 1907. Gold wreaths were common in ancient Greece and Rome and became fashionable again at the beginning of the 19th century during the Empire era. Since then, their popularity has not waned. During the 19th, early 20th century jewelers made a huge number of tiaras in the form of laurel, olive, oak, floral wreaths. And directly this tiara could be created as a kind of tribute to the great ancestors of Marie, who was the great-granddaughter of Lucien Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon Bonaparte. Marie received this diamond olive wreath as a gift for her wedding to Prince George of Greece and Denmark in 1907. Along with her other wedding gifts, this tiara was put on display a few weeks before the wedding. Each leaf of the wreath is solidly covered with diamonds, and the 11 large stones were stylized olives and could be replaced with rubies or emeralds. The large pear-shaped diamond in the center was also removable, and Marie would later replace it with an impressive diamond star. The tiara became the princess's favorite piece of jewelry, and she wore it to all major events, including the coronation of Elizabeth II in 1953. After Marie Bonaparte's death, the tiara was inherited by her only daughter, Princess Eugenie of Greece, and after her death in 1989 it passed to her daughter Tatiana Radziwill, who sold the tiara at auction. The buyer of the tiara was the Albion Art Institute. And the last tiara we will talk about is the Gallo tiara that Kate Middleton married Prince William in 2011. This small but sophisticated tiara has always been a favorite of the ladies of the royal family of Great Britain. The Gallo tiara was commissioned by the Cartier jewelry house in mid-1936 by George, Duke of York, and was intended as a gift for his wife Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon. The tiara consists of 16 graduated curls on a medium-width bezel and was made with 739 brilliant cut diamonds and 149 baguette-cut diamonds. Elizabeth did not wear this jewelry often, and in the spring of 1944 she gave it to her daughter, Princess Elizabeth, the future Queen of Great Britain, for her 18th birthday. Perhaps it was then that a tradition developed that this tiara was worn by all young princesses only until their marriage. It was light, graceful, and perfectly emphasized the charm of young princesses. Elizabeth herself never got to wear the tiara, but she often lent it to her sister Margaret, including on the day of her own coronation in 1953. The next owner of the jewel was Queen Elizabeth's daughter Princess Anne. Like Margaret, she wore the tiara only until her marriage. The last time Princess Anne wore it was in March 1970 during the royal tour of New Zealand, where she traveled with Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. After that, the tiara went into storage for several decades and the world saw it again only on April 29, 2011 on the wedding day of Prince William and Kate Middleton. On that day, many hoped to see Kate wearing the Spencer tiara, but the royal family favored the Gallo tiara. This choice could have a symbolic meaning related to the history of the tiara. The first owner became queen shortly after receiving the tiara as a gift. The tiara was then given to Princess Elizabeth, who also later became queen. And now Kate Middleton, marrying the Crown Prince, officially became not just a duchess, but also the future Queen of Great Britain, which, perhaps, was emphasized by this tiara. The stylish and dignified Princess Mary passed away in 1962, and some 30 years later her tiara was auctioned off. At that time, the jewelry did not have a centerpiece, a large diamond, as well as stars, emeralds, or rubies. Apparently, they were not offered for sale along with the centerpiece. The tiara was eventually purchased in 1999 by the Albion Art Institute. The new owners replaced the pear-shaped diamond, and now the unique jewel is displayed in exhibitions around the world. Isn't this a great opportunity to see it for yourself?